What I'm about to say right now is going to sound really terrible, okay? Just letting you know right now. So if you plan on judging me for this, go ahead and just click off because I don't feel like hearing negative comments. But this is hard for me to say out loud because I feel like I've never really said this to anyone. And maybe because I didn't even realize it was true until recently. I moved into a $10,000 penthouse. Not for myself, but because of how I wanted other people to view me. And that's just facts. For a long time, I was in denial. Okay. For a long time, I was like, oh, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't meant to be. And maybe it was meant to be. Maybe it was meant to be a gigantic lesson. Because if you think about it, $10,000 a month for, I think we lived there for a year. Let's do the math, guys. $120,000. That is how much I spent just on rent for that penthouse that I had, that my family lived in. And I remember walking in that first day when we were moving, and I was so proud. And not proud because I felt like, this is really what I wanted, because it was what I wanted, but I wanted it because I knew what people would think about me and my family because we lived there. And coming to that realization was something that was very challenging for me to do. It was very challenging because it makes me face a lot of insecurities that I've had over these last years. Being someone who basically lives on social media for a living, it's always been very important about what people think about me. And I remember moving in and I told my husband, I was like, hey, take this picture of me because I want to post it because I know it's going to go viral. And guess what? It did. Just like I had planned and predicted. Because I loved the attention. I knew that, it was going to get tons of traction and people were going to look up to me and I was going to inspire all these people. And while all of that is great, I can honestly say that I did not move into that place for the right reasons. And how everything transpired was really just a blessing in disguise. But it's crazy because I thought that's really what I wanted at the time. Like, I really felt like that was what I wanted. I remember going to go and view that apartment complex several years ago, and we fell in love with it. We fell in love with the largest unit, which is not the one that we lived in. We lived in the second largest unit. But when they had called us on a random day and said, hey, you're on the wait list for this other unit, but this one is available. Do you want it? I thought that was a sign. And so we just jumped for it and took it. And when we moved, we were so excited and so happy. And I remember when the movers that we hired, they walked in and they were like, wow. And they were amazed. They were asking what we did for a living. I remember that feeling so good to have that validation from other people. So, okay, I'm making the right decision because I know that this is going to elevate me. It's going to elevate my brand. It's going to elevate the way that people think about me and the way that people perceive me. And it's crazy because in the beginning it was great. And I felt so happy and excited about it, but very, very quickly those feelings faded. And it's crazy because anytime anyone would come over, like as a guest, they would stand at the window because we had floor to ceiling windows all around, like most of our living room. We had a beautiful kitchen with the waterfall counters with the granite. It was just beautiful, right? And so anytime someone would walk into this, they first thing they would say is like, wow, this is beautiful. And then they would go stand at the window and just be like, this view is amazing because you can pretty much see all of North Texas from where we were, because we were 20 plus feet in the air. And everyone would be so amazed, and everyone would always ask us like, "Oh, you probably love the view." And it's crazy because we used to wake up to that view every single day and not even notice it. Like I would wake up every day and I wouldn't even like purposely look out the window. It's just there. It was like as if it was a wall, and I got so used to that. And it became really like a jail cell, and it became a burden because having to keep up with that appearance and making sure that we're paying $10,000 a month on time, plus having three luxury vehicles, plus other living expenses and other bad financial choices, and it was just so much to keep up with that the pressure and the burden of keeping up with it was no longer enjoyable to live there. It was no longer enjoyable to have those things. And I think a part of that was because I wasn't even doing it for me. I was doing it because I wanted to feel important. I wanted people to know that we live on, one of the top floors of this building, and people in the building would be so confused that it was us that was living there. I remember when we first walked in to the lobby and we were moving in, and we actually had not even viewed the unit before we signed the lease because it's a very popular complex here in North Texas, and there was a long wait list, and we were the first ones to submit everything. And so I was like, let me just take this leap of faith. I'm gonna do it, and we got it. So we hadn't even walked in. And so I remember when we walked in to move, and at the front desk, the people were so confused. Like, what do you like? Oh, you're moving in? Like, they were shocked. It was a crazy experience, but I love the feeling of people being surprised that like we were a young Black family and we were able to afford this type of luxury. But it's crazy how quickly that luxury turned into a burden when it's not something you achieve for the right reasons. And so coming to that realization has really been something that has just been a healing process for me, because now I'm more so realigning my focus and realigning my priorities and things that are important to me, for myself and for my purpose and why God even has me here on this earth. He has me here for a reason. And so things that are fulfilling that is now what brings me more joy versus what other people think of me. And that's a huge hurdle that I had to overcome. A huge hurdle. Because being someone who, like I said, does social media for pretty much a living, and has thousands of people looking at every single thing that you do and that you post, when we decided to move earlier this year, I was embarrassed because I was scared of what people would think. I was scared that people would say, oh, they must have lost the apartment. They probably couldn't afford it and things like that. I was scared, and I felt like I had to over explain myself just so that people can understand that we actually did make the decision to move. Our lease was up. Ironically, our lease was up when we had the opportunity to move here at the same time. That was crazy. And also one thing I learned, and this is probably going to sound dumb. You might already know this, but yeah, make sure you give however much notice before you move out. Even if your lease is up, you still have to give a notice. So that's one thing that we kind of messed up on, where yes, our lease was up and we moved out when our lease was up, but we didn't give that notice. So there were like fees with that and stuff. Just a heads up if you didn't know. But everything really just worked out perfectly with being able to leave there and just realizing we can be spending this money on building up our team, because we spent so much money living that we didn't have enough money to really build the type of business we should have been building. And so that's why we got stuck into the cycle of hustling and working so hard for money, because we didn't build the right team. We didn't build the proper team, the proper business infrastructure at all. Now coming to that realization, I try not to have feelings of regret, which is hard. It's very hard to do because it's very easy to be regretful and to dwell in those things that you felt like were mistakes. But I know that God doesn't make mistakes. And I feel like we have to go through that process. We have to go through those feelings so that we can know now for next time, right? So yes, we were blessed with those things, but now when the blessing is 10 times that, we know how to make better financial decisions. And so overcoming those feelings of shame and of guilt and of embarrassment has just been a huge thing for me. And it's been just a part of my own healing process and journey, and not really caring so much about what people think, and understanding that I have value outside of the type of home that I live. Like, my home now is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but understanding that I don't have to live in a $10,000 penthouse for me to have value, and for people to value me and value what I bring into the world and into the marketplace. That does not dictate that. And so coming to that realization was huge for me. It was huge. And I just pray that with me sharing this, yes, it's challenging to talk about for sure. And I'm sure some people might be judging me for that decision, but it is what it is. But I hope that hearing this can help release somebody from the shackles, okay? Because that's exactly what it is shackles, when you are so fixated on other people's opinion and outside validation that you start making these drastic financial decisions that are not good for you. But it feels good in the moment because it feels good to be validated. It feels good to be put on this pedestal because of what people think that you have. And so I hope that this can help release other people from those feelings, because there is a sense of freedom for sure, being able to let that go. It's definitely been helpful to be able to let that go. And so I'm just grateful for the experience overall. I definitely am grateful for it. I don't know if I would, if I could go back, would I do the exact same thing again? I'm not sure. Maybe I would. Maybe I would still make those same mistakes, because I don't think I would have came to this realization now and really started this healing journey if I didn't go through those things. And so I'm definitely grateful for the experience, but I'm also so much more grateful for just the growth and the maturity that I've had over just these last few months. Honestly, I'm very, very grateful for it. And if this can just help one person, I'll be happy with that. And so I definitely appreciate you for tuning into Beyond Her Hustle, where, I'm really taking you through the journey of me ditching hustle culture, of finding more healing and finding more fulfillment, and just trying to achieve a more holistic wealth. That's my goal. Just really working towards my purpose and building holistic health in every aspect of my life. And I appreciate all of you that have tuned in so far on this journey. As you know, you can find us everywhere. If you want to watch the video version, you can find us on YouTube at The Daily Pivot. If you want to hear the audio, we are on all audio platforms under Beyond Her Hustle. And join our community with our YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're pretty much everywhere that you probably, scroll on social media, you can find us. And so I appreciate you for tuning in. I love to hear your feedback. So leave us a review if you're listening to the podcast. Leave us a comment if you're on YouTube or any other platform. I'm just happy that you're here with me, going on this journey with me. It's been an interesting journey so far for sure, but it's one that God has led me to embark on. I've really let go of a lot of things that I've been comfortable with, but I know that there's a greater purpose and a greater reason for this mission that I'm on right now. And I just appreciate you for being a part of that journey. And it means so much to me. You guys just have no idea. You guys have no idea how much you all mean to me. Everyone who's commenting and sharing and liking, and just, I wouldn't be here without you all, and so I so appreciate it. And I just want to continue this journey with you. And if you know someone who can benefit from going on this journey as well, don't be afraid to share. And, again, this is another episode of Beyond Her Hustle, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.